It's 4:30 a.m. and Kyle Knopff is already on the road. At this early hour, he's looking for the trail of the biggest cat in Canada, the cougar.
When we cut a track, either male or female, sometimes it takes us several days to catch up to that animal, to figure out where it's gone, particularly if we cut a track that's a little bit old and the animal's moved off quite a distance from where we initially find it. So what we've got here is a big tom cougar track, and it looks like maybe we can even chase this one today.
Kyle Knopff and his partner, Alia Adams, left Edmonton in 2005 to live on the outskirts of the small village of Nordegg, Alberta, not far from the Banff and Jasper National Parks. Their aim was to have front row seats to study cougar behavior more closely.
We like being outside. We very much enjoy working with animals and observing both their behavior directly and indirectly, in this case, as we visit the clusters and observe their behavior on maps through the GPS collars. So we really enjoy doing that together. What we were just doing there was using our telemetry equipment to look for cougar, and we were able actually to pick up 3 this time, 2 of our big toms and 1 of our females just behind me here, down in this large basin. My portion of the study focuses especially on predator-prey interactions. So I'm looking at composition of the prey in cougar diet, the amount of prey that cougar are taking per year, and also as part of that study I'm looking at population size of cougar, and because that has an impact on what prey they kill.
After identifying the sector where one of the cougars is located, Kyle and Alia, along with their dog Drake, must now find the place where it has concealed its prey. That's no easy task, given that the cougar moves over a very large territory. The female's territory is about 100 square kilometers, and the male's is 600 to 1,000 square kilometers. Like true detectives, the trio covers huge distances in order to find the trail of a creature which is only seen in the wild with great difficulty.
Drake actually is a great help. If he finds it, he'll pick up a leg usually or something, and he'll bring it back, and then we'll know he's found it, and then we'll just follow him back to where he's got it at.
Hey, almost there?
Yeah, right about here.
All right, perfect. Okay, buddy.
Yeah, I'll go.
We always carry bear spray, ourselves and the crew, whenever we're in the field. We're especially cautious though when we're going into sites where we know there's a kill, and the large males will often kill big ungulate prey, so sometimes wild horses weighing up to 1,000 pounds, large moose.
Alia, it's a super tight center.
Got it!
Good. What is it?
It's an elk calf, I think.
Cool.
Yeah, it's an elk calf. It's just the leg.
For Kyle, studying the behavior of the cougar represents a challenge. It's almost impossible to capture them in summer. Even if they discover trails, they have to wait for winter to be sure of the freshness of the tracks in the snow.
Yeah, I can't tell.
Throughout the ages, the cougar has been hunted because it attacked cattle and sometimes humans. In eastern Canada, it was long thought that it had almost died out. But in Quebec, between 1955 and 2000, some 200 sightings were recorded. Marc Gauthier has been tracking cougars since the early 1990s. He's been trying to obtain irrefutable proof of its presence in Quebec.
Although there were a lot of sightings, proof was becoming more and more rare, or completely non-existent. We started to think about how we could make detection of the cougar easier, and in the end we said, why don't we attract it to us rather than running after it all the time? We know that cougars are animals with large territories, and they're felines that use pheromones to communicate with each other.
After years of research, Mark discovered a pheromone which attracts cougar, but not other felines. All he now had to do was collect tangible proof of its presence in the field.
Le cougar that smells the scent here will simply come and mark its territory.
Donc il va venir se frotter
So,
sur le poteau.
it will come and rub
Et puis en
against
se
the post,
frottant, il va
and
laisser
as
des
it
poils.
rubs, it will
Et
leave
on
some
ramasse
hairs.
les poils
We collect the
s'il y a
hairs
lieu
if
qu'on
there
envoie
are any,
ensuite
and send
au
them to the lab
laboratoire là,
for
pour les
testing.
tests d'ADN.
The cougar is one of 3 wildcat species in Canada. It's bigger than the bobcat and the Canada lynx. There are said to be between 50 and 60,000 cougars in North America, with the highest densities on Vancouver Island and in California. In the Canadian Rockies, there are around 6,000 individuals.
We catch about 15 to 20 cougar each winter, and we're out hunting for cougar almost every day, from kind of mid-November all the way through to mid-April. We're out looking for cougar.
Every day?
Every single day.
Except for Christmas.
Except for Christmas, yeah. We take Christmas off.
For Kyle and Alia, following the cougar's trail requires a lot of effort, time, and above all, constant vigilance. Once the tracks are found, the adventure starts. They now have to find and capture this ferocious champion of camouflage in absolute safety.
On a project like this, it takes quite a bit of effort to make it successful. And so Alia and myself work every day, and we also have a crew of between 4 and 6 volunteers at any one time.
After breakfast, Kyle and the team prepare for a day which will be a long one, even for Drake, who has to stay at home.
The reason that Drake can't chase cougars is that he's way too fast and not loud enough. However, a cougar is much bigger and stronger than a dog, so if you have a very fast dog like Drake, who's also quiet, who runs into the cougar, then the situation is very much reversed and the cougar is likely to kill the dog.
The team meets up at the spot where the most recent tracks were found.
And this
Kyle and Alia check all the routes that the cougar could take during the chase, especially if it's an inhabited area. Lorne Hinbo has worked with Kyle for 2 years. With his dogs, specially trained plot hounds, he helps the team to track the cougar.
Normally a cougar is very predictable. They'll run away from the dogs for a little while, and then they will go up a tree or bay up in the rocks, but they're generally, they don't cause any problems.
How tight do you want it on here? Tight enough, it won't fall off.
Lorne puts VHF collars on his dogs in order to follow their trail. The chase sometimes lasts for several hours, with the cougar being found dozens of kilometers from the starting point.
Well, when we first started this study, I had no idea, to be honest, exactly what I was doing. I'd never captured a cougar before. I had some experience working with wolves, so I did have some large carnivore experience. But no, my first cougar capture experience was the very first one we put a collar on. And we've done more than 40 captures now, so I've gained a lot of experience there. But now I think that we have things a little bit more figured out, but it's still quite a challenge every time you go out and try to catch a cougar. It's a real challenge.
Dominic Grenier is taking part in a project with wolves for the University of Alberta and Alberta Fish and Wildlife, covering the same territory as Kyle. Even though he's allergic to cats and therefore very allergic to cougars, he never refuses an invitation to join a capture.
Une capture de cougar, c'est un rush d'adrénaline exceptionnel. Puis de voir un cougar dans un arbre comme ça de si proche, puis pouvoir faire une manipulation, tout ça sur l'animal, c'est vraiment quelque chose d'unique.
Once they reach the area where they think the female cougar is, Lorne sets his dogs off after her. Their task is to make the cougar climb into a tree.
I think that's smart. Get the UTMs?
The team follows the tracks of the cougar and the dogs and the sounds of barking. But sometimes things don't go as planned.
Last year we run into an occasion where we put the dogs out on what we thought was a female cougar with a kitten. I think it turned out to be the female was maybe coming into breeding season, and she had been followed by two big toms. And I think she was just in a really bad mood, that's my guess. But anyway, she turned on my two hounds, Bonnie's brothers, and well, it was kind of a sad night when we got in there. Both dogs had been killed, both skulls had been crushed. So but in all my years of working, it's been that's been the only negative there with the cougars.
Ben souvent les chiens quand ils sont à la poursuite du cougar, qui sont sur les traces du cougar, ils vont toujours aboyer en chemin, mais c'est toujours par séquence. Puis quand ils vont arriver à l'arbre, puis que le cougar est dans l'arbre, qu'ils sont à la base de l'arbre, ça va vraiment être un aboiement qui est constant. Ben c'est Lorne dans le fond qui connaît le mieux ces chiens, c'est lui souvent qui va nous dire "It's tree, let's go guys."
Let's go guys.
After walking for several hours, Kyle, Alia, and the whole team finally join the dogs at the foot of a tree.
I have a great shot from here.
Dans le fond, on essaie juste d'analyser la situation. On voit que le cougar va probablement rester dans cet arbre-là. Donc, on va tout simplement tranquillement commencer. Alia et Kyle vont préparer la drogue. C'est Alia qui prépare la drogue. Kyle va commencer à préparer sa carabine. Le houndsman avec les techniciens, on va tranquillement ramener les chiens. On va les attacher pour avoir juste le cougar dans l'arbre. Donc, c'est vraiment de placer tout le monde, d'assurer la sécurité de l'animal, des chiens, de tout le monde, avant d'effectuer le tir pour endormir le cougar. Ben là, à partir de ce moment-là, on va tout de suite avoir au moins une ou deux personnes qui vont partir après les traces du cougar. Parce que là, le cougar est endormi, donc on ne laisse pas partir les chiens sur le cougar.
After a few minutes of searching, Alia finds the female cougar. She makes sure the animal is properly asleep, And then they take various samples and fit a GPS collar to her, which will allow them to follow the feline's trail.
There hadn't been a cougar study in Alberta now for almost 10 years. And so there's been a lot of changes in the province in terms of cougar populations, or at least perceived changes in terms of cougar populations. In fact, they're a very difficult species to monitor. So nobody knew for sure, but there'd been more sightings, more depredation incidents on livestock, and there'd also been an increase in the number of cougar that have been hunted in the province.
In Quebec, thanks to the hair collectors installed by Marc Gauthier, they've confirmed the presence of 5 cougars.
On en a 2 au Parc national de Forillon, en Gaspésie.
There are 2
On a
in
un
Forillon
autre en
National
Gaspésie
Park in
aussi,
Gaspésie.
près du Parc de la
There's another one in
Gaspésie.
Gaspésie, also
On
near
en
Gaspésie
a
Park.
un autre en Estrie,
There's another one in
un
Estrie,
au Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean,
one in Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean,
au parc
near
près du Parc des
Vaillancourt.
Monts-Valin.
So,
Donc ça
that's
fait à peu
about
près le
it for
tour
the
des
cougars
cougars là,
detected
qu'on
so
a
far in
détectés à
Quebec.
date au Québec.
So there's really
Donc
no
il
doubt
n'y
that
a
cougar
pas vraiment
numbers
de doute à avoir
are
que le
growing.
cougar est en croissance au Québec.
In Western Canada, with the ending of bounty hunting, the density of cougar started increasing in the 1960s as the animal gradually took back the natural habitat it had been driven from. Out of the 40 captures made by Kyle and Alia since 2005, a number of them have been close to inhabited areas. Consequently, they've wondered if this proximity represented a danger and if coexistence with humans was possible.
You said that it was a female?
Yeah, it's a female. She's a young female, so she's just probably about 3 years old, big and healthy, and she just made a deer kill down in that woodlot there, just about, maybe about 500 or 600 meters south of your place here, right in the middle between the 2 roads there. And so she'll probably be in there feeding on that for the next, I guess, 2 or 3 days, and then she'll move on.
Cougars can present quite a number of risks. They can present a risk to an individual, to a human. They can present a risk, into a pet, so they could kill somebody's pet, and they present a risk to livestock. They can and do kill livestock, and they've killed people before too. So people should be very cautious with cougar. It's not something that you want to take lightly. Coexisting with cougar.
So the main reason why we leave them out here is because what we're trying to do is learn something. So we know already that there's a big population out here, and so we really only have 2 options. One, exterminate all of them, or else understand what they're doing so that we can improve safety for people and livestock. And
so in Alberta, especially with our booming economy, we have lots and lots of people moving here every year. It's rapidly growing, and people have money and they're buying up parcels of land everywhere. And so we have definitely begun to encroach on places that were traditionally considered wilderness areas. And this has a lot of potential risks for wild animals living in those areas.
Well, people and cougar have been coexisting for, centuries, thousands of years. It's important that we recognize that we're part of the natural ecosystem, and we're in cougar country, and cougars are in our country, and I don't think there's a strong line between the two.
The increase in cougars is also being felt elsewhere in Canada. In Quebec, Marc Gauthier wonders about the provenance of the animals recorded in recent years. Could they have a link with those from the west of the country, or are they of a completely different origin?
Il n'y a rien qui dit que le
There's
dernier
nothing to
cougar a
say
été
that the last
vraiment
cougar was
capturé en
really captured in
1938.
1938.
Possiblement qu'il y en avait d'autres.
Possibly
Et
there
que
were
de cette
others,
population-là,
and
il est
it's possible
possible
that
que des
descendants from that
descendants
population
aient
survived
survécu
until
jusqu'à
now.
aujourd'hui.
There's
Il y a
also
aussi
the
possibilité
possibility
de
of
migration
migration
de
from
l'ouest
west to
vers
east.
l'est. La densité
The
de cougars
density
dans
of
l'ouest
cougars in the west
augmente.
is increasing.
La densité
The
humaine
density of
aussi
humans
augmente,
is
ce qui
also
fait qu'il y a une
increasing.
pression
So,
pour les
there's
cougars
pressure
de
for
migrer
cougars
de
to
l'ouest
migrate
vers
from
l'est à
west to
mesure que
east,
les
as long as the
territoires
territories
sont
are
de
of
bonne
good quality
qualité
for cougar.
pour le cougar.
There are more forests today in Quebec than there used to be 100 years ago, for example. And then there's a number of individuals who escaped from captivity. So there's a bit of a mystery. Where have the cougars we're currently observing in Quebec come from?
While preparing the equipment for another day's work, Kyle receives a call. Prairie, a female he's been studying for 2 years, has been killed by a hunter. The young man is deeply shaken by the news, particularly as it's the first time he's lost one of his cougars.
When you study the everyday lives of the animals for a year or more, you do grow, you sort of start to get to know them a little bit. And as a researcher, you probably should detach yourself from that. But as a human being, it's almost impossible to not get a little tiny bit attached to some of these animals sometimes. So, yeah, it's mixed feelings, obviously, and yeah, we got a lot of good data from that cat, and even in her death, she provided us with lots of interesting information that'll help us understand better how to manage these things in the future for cougar.
Managing the future for cougar is Kyle and Alia's motivation for their research, but their project is drawing to a close. They'll make a few more captures before the end of the winter, and then return to live in Edmonton. Leaving cougar country will be a big wrench.
How will I survive in Edmonton? Well, that's another really good question. I don't know. Alia and I have been living here studying cougar now for the better part of 2.5 years almost now. And it's just been a wonderful experience, and to have to leave this place will be a great challenge. I mean, it's been just fabulous, everything about it.